And the people who were around me were like, oh, that's disgusting. Who was it? And I was like, it's that guy right over there. Welcome back, travel fans. I'm Morgan from the very unofficial travel guides, and on today's Sunday Sofatime video, I'm gonna tell you about some annoying and puzzling people and situations I met or was put in on my recent cruise. Yes, as most of you know, just a few weeks ago, we finished our cruise on the Norwegian Escape. It was the 12th cruise that I have completed, and I'm just starting to realize that there are certain types of people and certain personalities that I seem to meet on most of my cruises. And you know what? I have to say in advance, if you're gonna watch this whole video, please don't think, oh, geez, well, you know, if those are the kind of people who go on cruises, then I'm never going on a cruise. Because you know what? I think it's probably irregardless of it's a cruise or like a resort vacation or something like that. I kind of feel like when people are on vacation, they seem to forget their manners and forget common courtesy. And I don't know. I just feel like, you know, maybe that I could do like a whole study about just that, why that happens, because I think a lot of the people that I'm going to talk about in this video, and I've written them down here, they're probably really great people in their normal life, and they have raised fantastic children, and then they, I don't know, and then they leave their everyday life and go on a cruise and turn into monsters. I'm just going to go through the list, and as you're watching this, have the comments open to let me know what you think of each of these people, and if you think that they, you know, the way they were acting was appropriate, or if like I'm overreacting, if I shouldn't think that this was such a big deal, or how you would have reacted in that moment. Okay, let's. I'm curious to see or to hear what you guys think about these situations. And the first one was the I want to talk to the manager woman. I was on the ship and I was going to the guest relations counter. I don't remember exactly why my reason was, but the person I was dealing with, gosh, why was I there? I really don't remember, but I had to wait for a little bit as the guy who was helping me went to the back to make a phone call or something. And that's when I heard the conversation of the woman next to me, and she was complaining because she had a son in one of the kids clubs. On Norwegian, they have kids clubs for I think every age up to 18. But there's like limits. There's like, I think there's like baby to 3-year-old, and then 3-year-old to like 9-year-old, and then 9-year-old to 16, and then 16 to 18, something like that. I don't know exactly because even though I've worked with kids in the past, it was never on a ship, and I've never traveled with children on a ship. So I don't know exactly what the limits are, but you could find out on the Norwegian website. Anyways, this woman was complaining because her son was a couple weeks away from turning 10, I think it was. And 10 was the jump to the next kids club, if I understood it correctly. And so she thought it would be okay because he was, you know, 3 weeks away from turning 10 if he just went into the older kids club anyways. And I guess they have, apparently they have strict rules about that on the ship, and the answer was no. That was the answer she got in the kids club. And so what I heard her say was that she asked to talk to the manager of the kids club, and the manager of the kids club also told her, no, sorry, if he is not 10 years old yet, according to his birth certificate, then he will not be allowed to hang out with the kids in the 10 and up club. And she wasn't having that as an answer. So she wanted to talk to the manager of the kids club. The woman who was dealing with her at guest relations, she handled it very well. She stayed very calm. I think she was kind of playing kind of naive. And she said, oh, so you talked to the manager of the kids club already? And she said, yes, and I want to talk to her manager. And the woman at guest relations said, oh, well, her manager isn't on board. If you already talked to the manager of the kids club, she is the highest in her department. And if you want to talk to somebody else, you're going to have to send a mail to the Norwegian headquarters back in Miami or wherever it was. And this woman was not having it. She's like, you mean there's no manager on board that I could talk to? Who's her manager? She doesn't have a boss? And the woman at guest relations was like, no, I'm sorry, on board she is the highest on the ladder in her department. So your only option now is to get in touch with Norwegian headquarters. All right, well, bring me the telephone. And she said, no, you can't call from here. That's not how it will work. But I write down the email address and you can send her an email. And of course, she wasn't happy with that answer. But yeah, I just thought that phrase, I want to talk to the manager, or I want to talk to your manager, or I want to talk to her manager, that's just something that's always a red flag, and you should never say that. It's never going to get you what you want, and as soon as you use that phrase, I think whoever it is you're saying it is like, all right, I'm dealing with another one of these people. You know what I mean? So find a different way to deal with that. And I can understand if she's frustrated because, you know, if he's really like literally almost 10 and he's still having, you know, hanging out in the group with like the 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds or whatever, of course that's frustrating. But, you know, if there's regulations about that, she should have informed herself about that before she booked this vacation. You know, that's her responsibility. All right, moving on. The next one was this guy who had booked the drink package. All right, I don't remember exactly where I heard this conversation, but it might have been on one of the bars, and that is that a guy had booked the unlimited drink package together with his cruise, and he wanted to order 2 bottles of water. And bottled water is not included in the drink plan. The drink plan, at least on Norwegian Cruise Line, at least the basic one, I don't know if there's like one above it. No, you know what, I'm sure there is a drink plan that includes water, but it's not the one that he booked. He booked the one that included soft drinks, beer, and cocktails, and that's not the one that's gonna give you water, right? I don't know where it went wrong with this guy, but he was under the assumption that if he had this drink plan, he should be allowed to get water. And that was not the case. That is not the case. And he was making a big commotion about that. And he, like, how could it be that I could order a Jack Daniels or I can order a beer, but I can't get water? What's wrong with you guys? The poor bartender, I think it was a bar now that I think of it, he was also like, I'm sorry, sir, but if you look through the conditions of the package that you booked, it will tell you what is included in your package. And if you go to guest relations, they'll be able to help you look through all that information. And he was also not having it, and he stormed away, and he was swearing. And, I guess where it went wrong there is who sold him this package, Either he booked the whole thing online without talking to anybody else about it, but in that case, it should have also been listed what is included in the ultimate beverage package and what is not. And like I said, I know that there are other packages that include coffee, like the specialty coffees, and there are other packages that include bottled water, and there's other packages that include just soft drinks. So, I know there are these options, and it's another situation where I feel like if he had informed himself better before paying for the cruise or before boarding the cruise or before, sometimes you don't book the beverage package until you actually get on board. And, you need to inform yourself. I know I keep repeating myself, but I feel like how can you not know that if you're paying this much for this extra service, what is included in that service? You know what I mean? So I don't know if he booked it by himself and didn't inform himself well, if he booked it through a travel agent, and then it's definitely the travel agent's fault for not telling him, listen, this package does not include water. If you want bottled water, you need to book this other package. Or where it went wrong. But yeah, this guy just was not having the fact that he had the ultimate beverage package and it did not include bottled water. now it starts to get really annoying. I was at the buffet, and it was dinner time, and I think it was a late dinner. It was probably already going on, around like 8 o'clock in the evening. And I went to the part of the buffet where they do like make your own pasta, or they make pasta for you, where you can say, I want the penne pasta, and I want the cream sauce, and onions, and garlic, and peppers, and then they mix it all up fresh for you and cook the pasta al dente, and then they put it all on the plate and put extra grated Parmesan cheese on top of it. And that's where I was waiting, and I was ordering my pasta. And if I took a picture of it and I can find it, you're seeing it right now. So I, had told the guy cooking what I wanted, and it's kind of set up like a salad bar, but it's set up so that only the cook has access to those ingredients. There's like the glass, and then it was open at the bottom so you could, see better, or more air comes through or whatever. But it was set up so that it was obvious that the stuff that is back here is not for me to use, it's for him to use, the cook, right? So while I'm waiting, a group of people came in from the pool, and I think everybody realized that this group came in because they were very, very loud. I'm assuming they had been drinking all day at the pool and realized, all right, it's 8 o'clock, it's time to go get some dinner. And the thing is, not only were they very loud, and loud is loud. Of course, it's, kind of obnoxious, because if the atmosphere in there was kind of chill and kind of, the sun is going down, people are having their nice dinner, and then this loud group of party animals, I'm gonna call them, come in, then, it's disturbing the peace. I sound like an old man now, but I just thought it was a little bit annoying that all of a sudden it was like they brought their party into the buffet. Second point, they were dripping wet. So the girls had their swimsuits on and some kind of, wrap around them, and the guys had dripping wet swimsuits on. I don't think any of them had shoes on, and the guys did, however, they all had a shirt on, so at least I'll give them that point. All right. Not only that, not only were they loud, not only were they dripping wet, but they were also, the language that they were using was vulgar. And I don't have a halo above my head. I'm not saying that I don't think adults should be allowed to use the formulations that they want to use when they're talking about things, but there is a time and a place. And I just feel like in a restaurant where there are other kids, where there are other people around, especially kids and families, then you shouldn't be swearing. And, call me old-fashioned or whatever, but when did it become okay to just say all the time? And not only this group, but I felt like so many times on this cruise, I ran into people who just weren't speaking eloquently, and with complete disregard for who else might be around. And that's something that I learned growing up. Thank you to my parents. I don't want to say that they told me I should never swear and that swearing's going to bring me to hell or whatever. But there's times when it's appropriate and there's times when it's not appropriate. And if you're having a private conversation someplace where nobody can hear you and you want to drop the F-bomb or, use vulgar language, then whatever, then do it. I'm not saying I don't do it, because I definitely do it, but I don't do it when I know that there are other people around who can hear me, and I especially don't do it if there might be kids around, because that's just, that's not appropriate. That's how I was raised. And this group, I guess they weren't raised that way. I don't know. I don't know what the deal was. But not only were they loud, not only were they dripping wet, but they also were using really, really vulgar language to talk about their food, to talk about each other. And they were so loud that everybody in the buffet could hear it. And now I'm getting to the highlight or the low light of this group. While I was waiting for him to finish my pasta. So he had his back turned to me and was doing something in the back, like on the stove area. One of the guys from this group, literally with his bare hand that he just got out of the pool, reached under the divider and with his hand grabbed a handful of cheese, of grated Parmesan cheese, and took it out and threw it on his pizza with his bare hand into the grated cheese. And that was kind of like the limit for me. I gave him a very dirty look, and I could see from his reaction to my dirty look that I shouldn't mess with him. And so, yeah, what I did is I waited till he was gone, and then I told on him. Because I didn't want to get punched. You know, it wasn't worth it to me to become part of a physical altercation, and I kind of had the feeling that this guy was up for that, and I was not. So once he left, I told the cook behind the counter, that guy who was just here, he reached into the cheese with his bare hand and took cheese out. And the people who were around me were like, "Oh, that's disgusting. Who was it?" And I was like, "It's that guy right over there." And I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if anybody went to talk to him or whatever. I didn't really get a good enough look at him to see if I recognized him later on the cruise. But I felt better after I told on him. Does that make me a bad person? I don't know. I just feel like people need to be, even if they're on vacation, even if they're drunk, people need to be held responsible for their behavior. And if you... and other people would say, "Well, how does that affect you?" Well, it affects me because I want to eat some of that cheese, and I don't know, you just don't put your hand in other people's food, right? I mean, is that going too far? Am I being too strict with manners to just expect that when I am on vacation that I'm not going to have to deal with other people putting their hand in my food? I don't think so. Well, altogether, that was just a thing. I just felt like so many people were swearing with complete disregard to who was around them, who was listening, or how loud they were. And I just learned better than that. And I wish that people would pay more attention to that. I feel like it's, like society is getting ruder and meaner and dumber. And I like to say I'm a pretty cool person. And if I'm saying that, then I feel like something really has changed. I don't know. Moving on, and this is something that I realized a little bit on the cruise, but more on when we got to Miami, and that is these people bringing their own music speakers, like these Beats Pills, or you can get some really good ones from Bose and stuff like that. They're these Bluetooth speakers that you can put in your backpack and take with you, so you can hear your own music, and sometimes very loud music wherever you go. I feel like this is another thing. It's kind of like the swearing. It's like there's a time and a place where these things are appropriate, and then there is a time and a place where they are not appropriate. And where it hit like the high point or the low point for me, like I said, was in Miami, because we were staying at the National Hotel, which is it's a premier resort on Collins, right there on Miami Beach. It is not cheap. It's one of the most expensive hotels that I've ever stayed in. And I feel like at that price, you expect a certain level of luxury and a certain level of customer service, and you also expect, I don't know, maybe I'm crossing a line here, but you also expect the other guests there to be a certain level of, or to, uphold a certain level of behavior. If I'm paying, like $30 a night to stay at a hotel that has free happy hour, then I guess it wouldn't bother me if there's, drunk, loud, obnoxious people hanging out at the pool, because, that's, well, my expectations are lower. But if I'm paying over $300 a night, and if a cocktail at the pool is $16, then I expect it to be, kind of a fancy atmosphere. I guess that's the way, I don't know, the best way I can describe it is you know, for me, I feel like people should be a little bit more reserved with their behavior. But not only did we have super, super loud music coming from the Delano Hotel right next to us, because they have this huge pool party on the weekends. And, you know, I'm talking like music so loud that you can feel the bass like going boom, boom, boom in your clothes, right? That's how loud it was, and from like 11 in the afternoon until midnight, if not later. So not only did we have that, but in our pool area, they also played like techno music. And sometimes it was kind of like chill techno, but sometimes it was like full on, you know, like electronic dance music, EDM. And so that was already a complete overload, because we've got the super, super loud music coming from next door. And then for whatever reason, our hotel is playing music as well. Then, for whatever reason, and I can't imagine being one of these people. I can't imagine getting this thought. For whatever reason, some people still brought their own speakers then down to the pool area, and then it was like war of who's got the loudest speaker. And it felt like being back in the dorms in college. And I didn't pay $300 a night to stay in those dorms, and I was a teenager, and I wasn't trying to relax, and that's why it didn't bother me back then. But when I'm on vacation and staying at a luxury resort, then I feel like there shouldn't be people bringing their own speakers down to the pool area and blasting their own music. It felt like a neighborhood barbecue, and I have nothing against neighborhood barbecues, but that's not what I paid for, and that's not why I picked this hotel. So not only was I annoyed by the fact that people were doing this, but I was especially annoyed that nobody at the hotel seemed to care about it. And yeah, definitely a reason why I would not stay at the National Hotel again, unfortunately, because the hotel was beautiful. I mean, if you just look at it, you know, like look at pictures or look at videos, that's one of the reasons I wanted to stay there in the first place, because I thought, oh, it looks so luxurious, and I'll, you know, feel like an old film star walking along this long pool area and sipping a martini with my view of the beach. And then I had to deal with like 5 different musics happening, and yeah, it kind of ruined it for me. So yeah, I kind of feel like these music speakers, they should be banned. You know, for me, it's kind of like smoking. It annoys me as much as smoking does. Just like I don't want to sit, you know, lay down on a pool chair and have the person right next to me smoking, and especially not smoking a cigar or something. It's the same way. You know, I feel like it should be my choice if I want to have a cigarette or if I don't. And you know what? I don't. But it's the same way. It should be my choice if I want to listen to music or if I don't. And if there's already music being played in the area, you know, from the hotel, then that choice has already been taken away. I have to listen to that music, but you know, then I deal with it. But I don't have to listen to your music. And I don't have to listen to your music and your music and your music. You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like it's a total disregard for everybody around you. It's like, yeah, this is my music, I want to listen to it, so you know what? Screw you guys, you're going to have to listen to it too. And I can't imagine feeling that. I can't imagine having that amount of disregard for the people around me, that I wouldn't be bothered by that, or that I wouldn't consider that or be considerate to the people around me. All right, I'm gonna stop there. Let me know what you guys think about these things down in the comments below. And now we come to the time where I look at the comments from last week's Sunday Sofatime and let you know what I think. In last week's Sunday Sofatime, I told the story and I showed you guys what it was like to fly on the top deck of British Airways A380, one of these gigantic double-decker airliners. So go check that video out if you haven't seen it yet. And I'm going through the comments here. N. Dawkins says, I believe that French have the European high score for having strikes. And N. Dawkins, I'm pretty sure that you are correct. What N. Dawkins is referring to is we weren't supposed to be flying on that plane. We weren't even supposed to be flying on British Airways, but we were booked with Air France, and they were on strike when we left on vacation, And then they were still on strike, or they were on strike again when we were trying to come back, and that's why we got rebooked. But yeah, I also feel like they had, that they strike all the time. Shine912 says, my fiance showed me one of your cruise videos, and so I subscribed and have enjoyed your videos ever since. Oh, that's nice. Shine912 is referring to, I wanted to know, I asked a question in that video from last week if there's anybody who had come to that video because they are fans of airlines and air travel, because I think most of you guys are either cruise ship fans or theme park fans, and I just wanted to know if anybody was like doing a search and that's how they showed up. Let's see, what else can we talk about here? Brian Formeau writes, Morgan, love your trip insights, but there are many who do that in the YouTube world. I'm glad for the tips, but mostly enjoy how entertaining you are. Keep up the good work. I genuinely look forward to your videos. Thank you, Brian. Are you here? Nice to see you again. I hope that you were entertained by this video as well. And you know what? It's really good to get that kind of feedback from you guys, because I don't do this just for myself. I guess, you know, one of the things I try to think about all the time is not only do I want to be entertaining, but I also want to create things that sort of help you guys, you know, help you all with your travel plans. So, you know, what is it like when you get there? What can we expect when you get there? You know, if you're booking the suite instead of the normal room, what does that mean? So when I have access to that information, then I like to give it to you guys. That's, you know, one of the main reasons that I do this. And if I can do that in an entertaining way as well, then that's even better. So thank you for that feedback, and I'm glad that you guys are all here. And if you are, you know, really happy about all this and you want to give me a little tip, you can do that at patreon.com/veryunofficial. It also gives you access to extra videos and extra things that I don't post anywhere else. So if you want to be sort of part of a special group, you can do that, patreon.com/veryunofficial. Special thanks to the VIPs, as always, over there. I think I've got all your names right. And follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I will see you guys right here in front of the red sofa next weekend, and check back during the week for another video from either from Disneyland or from Dino. And the cruise videos will be coming up in a couple weeks. See you later.